So the answer is ribose. The ribulose, erythrulose and dihydroxyacetone. Dihydroxyacetone is a 3 carbon containing, erythrulose is 4 carbon containing, ribulose is 5 carbon containing. They are all ketones, whereas ribose is the aldose sugar. Now going to the second question. What is the other name for glucose? Sorry, the answer is displayed here. What is the other name for glucose? Dextrin, dextrose, sucrose and saccharin. So in a clinical side, when you will be posted in emergency department or in the casualty or in the ICU, so most often you get a case of unconsciousness, especially with a history of type 1 diabetic patient, and he has taken excess dose of insulin and he lands up with severe hypoglycemia and he walks into the casualty with unconsciousness. When you check his random blood sugar, maybe around 20 milligram per deciliter, in that a case, so immediately doctor says 25% dextrose connect karo ya 5% dextrose. So this is the another name for glucose is dextrose because it is dextrorotatory. Remember this. So the dextrose is available as IV fluid. It is having 5% dextrose, 25% dextrose, or it is also available in the form of DNS. Okay. So that's the reason the name of the glucose, the alternate name of the glucose is dextrose because it is dextrorotatory. Remember this. Coming to the third question, which is a fructosone? First of all, try to understand the terminology. Fructosone means fructose containing. Son means it is referring to the polysaccharide. Suppose if I say exosone, exosone means 6 carbon containing compound which is a polysaccharide. Here it is fructosone, that means fructose containing polysaccharide they are asking. So the option is pectin, inulin, chitin and glycogen. So can you please text me the answer here? Anyone? It is inulin. What is the function of inulin? It is a best marker for measurement of the glomerular filtration rate, because the GFR of insulin will be 125 ml per minute as that of natural GFR. That's the reason this is called as a golden marker, but the ideal marker is always creatinine. Now coming to the ideal marker is your inulin clearance test. Remember this, very important. Chitin content. So first of all, understand what is this chitin. You are very well aware of that. It is a polysaccharide and basically it is a homopolysaccharide. So the options are alpha 1,4 bond, alpha 1,6 bond, beta 1,6 bond and beta 1,4 bond. Can you answer me this question? Text me in the WhatsApp. Can anyone answer this question? Yes? First of all, chitin is made up of what? Chitin is a homopolysaccharide. It is made up of NAG, that is N-acetyl glucosamine units. So the answer here is beta 1,4 bond. Okay. So someone has answered me this question. Aishi Shukla, good. Next, which of the following are enantiomers? So can you please answer me this question? So when you read about isomerism in carbohydrates, we have discussed about enantiomers, epimers, right? So can you please pick up the right answer here? Option A, D-galactose, L-glucose, D-galactose and L-glucose, D-mannose and L-mannose and small d-mannose and small L-mannose. Yes? Anyone? Please text me the answer. Taking lot of time. Fast. You can text me just C, D, A, B, just the option you can type. Someone says D. What's the option? It is not D because there it is small d and small l. We are talking about enantiomers. It is represented with capital D and capital L. Remember this. Now coming to the epimer. Epimer, the combination are option A, D-glucose, D-fructose, D-glucose, D-thallose, D-glucose, mannose, glucose, idose, then galactose and glucose. Can you please answer me this question? This is the easiest question. I think you must be able to answer. Yes? Yes? I'm getting answers as C. Is that C is correct answer? Epimer? So all the three, C, D, E, all are the right answers. Glucose and mannose. Because mannose is the second epimer of glucose, idose is the fifth epimer of glucose and galactose is the fourth epimer of glucose, right? So C, D, E, all three are right answers. Okay? Because you know only about mannose, idose is a fifth epimer, galactose is a fourth epimer. Why do you got confused here again? Okay, moving to the next question. Glucose oxidase converts glucose to. So first of all, what does something should come in your mind when you talk about glucose oxidase. So we have done blood glucose estimation in our practical laboratory. It is by GOD POD method. So if you know the principle of this method, you will be able to answer this question. This glucose oxidase is going to convert glucose to option A, gluconic acid, glucuronic acid, iduronic acid, galactic acid. Yes, anyone? Answer me this question. Yes, remember the principle of this GOD POD method. Yes, no one is answering. Very bad, extremely bad. A, B, oh God. It is gluconic acid. Remember this reaction. Glucose reacts with water molecule and oxygen molecule. In presence of glucose, oxidase peroxidase enzyme getting converted into hydrogen peroxide and gluconic acid. Don't get confused. This is glucuronic acid. Nothing to do with GOD POD here. Okay. Glucuronic acid is, what is glucuronic acid? You please read. Okay. We don't have so much time to discuss each and everything here. Okay. Next. GLUT5. It is a transporter for. I think you should be able to answer this question at least. Option A, glucose, B, fructose, C, mannose, D, galactose. Can anyone please answer me this question? Somebody is answering A. My God, no. Yes, B. Remember 5 for GLUT5, 5 for, that is F for 5 and F for fructose. It's easy to remember. Okay. So GLUT5 is for the fructose transportation. Right. Now coming to the, just try to recollect this table again. GLUT1, they are located in brain, kidney, colon, placenta, RBC, and the function is glucose uptake. GLUT2, it is located in liver, pancreatic, beta cell, and small intestine, kidney, and they are concerned with the rapid uptake or release of glucose. GLUT3 is something to be done with the brain, kidney, placenta in the glucose uptake. And yes, the GLUT4 are again very important, because they are insulin mediated glucose uptake. Without insulin, these transporters are not going to function in your body properly. Heart, skeletal muscle, or adipose tissue. GLUT5 in small intestine, absorption of glucose, and also fructose. Remember that. And there is something called sodium dependent GLUT1 and sodium dependent GLUT2. GLUT1, the SGLT1 is located in small intestine and SGLT2 is located in kidney. They are concerned with the uptake of glucose against the concentration gradient. So that's about the various GLUT and sodium dependent GLUT transporters. Now look at this question. It's a very tricky question. After overnight fasting, the levels of glucose transporters are reduced in which tissue? Suppose the patient has undergone overnight fasting, and the glucose transporters are going to be reduced in which particular tissue? That is what the question is. Number 1, brain cell. Number 2, hepatocyte. Number 3, adipocytes. And number 3, RBCs. Yeah, can anyone answer me this question? Whoever is going to answer this question, I'm going to give them the extra marks in your internal assessment. Extra 5. It should be answered within 40 seconds. Then only I'll consider. Okay, someone has answered me this question. The first, it was answered by Anshi Sharma. Okay, only the first person will be considered here. I need an explanation. Okay, you are right that it is adipocyte, but I need explanation. Can you text me the explanation without googling it? Don't look into the Google and just answer me. Within 5 seconds you have to answer the reason behind adipocytes. Yes, can anyone answer me this? You are right, adipocytes, but what is your logic? Why? So I didn't get any reply, so no one will get 5 marks here. So why it is in adipocytes? Yes. See, here it is overnight fasting. In the fasting state, what happens to insulin? Insulin level is going to be reduced, and the insulin dependent transporters are going to be decreased. Insulin dependent transporters, out of the 4 tissue, it is located in the adipocyte. That's the reason that the glucose transporters are going to be reduced in adipose tissue after a patient undergoes overnight fasting. That's the explanation. So no one will get 5 marks here extra. Now coming to the next question about glycolysis, what is true? A, occurs in mitochondria, complete breakdown of glucose, and C, conversion of glucose to 3 carbon units, and 3 ATPs are used in anaerobic pathway. So first of all, it does not operate in mitochondria, it operates in cytosol. Number 2, the complete breakdown of glucose, no, of course, till the formation of pyruvate and lactate with respect to anaerobic and aerobic addition. So there is no complete breakdown of glucose. It happens in the CA cycle. and via the PDH reaction as well. Conversion of glucose to 3 carbon units. Again, think about this answer. And what about the 3 ATPs are used in anaerobic pathway? Definitely it is 2, right? So the answer will be conversion of glucose to 3 carbon units, right? So that's about the correct answer about pertaining to the glycolysis. Next. In glycolysis, the first committed step is catalyzed by. Look at the options: 2,3-BPG, glucokinase, kinase, phosphofructokinase. Can anyone text me this answer? Again, very important question. Yes? No? So it is D, right? D is the correct answer. Why it is D? Because suppose somebody has chosen glucokinase and exokinase as the answer in your WhatsApp group, but why it is not the answer here? Because exokinase and glucokinase are going to convert glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. The glucose 6-phosphate has got many fates. It has got the glucose 6-phosphate can, depending upon the energy status of the cell, it can jump into glycogen synthesis, or it can jump into the HMP pathway, right? Or it gets oxidized via glycolysis path. It's got many fates. But whereas phosphofructokinase, what is the end product? So it is the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. It is, once it is formed, it is meant for glycolysis only. There is no deviation of this particular molecule into the other pathway. That is the reason we call it as a committed step in glycolysis, right? Now, the next question. True about glycolysis is, exokinase produces ATP, one cycle produces 2 ATPs, produces directly 2 molecules of lactate, aldose produces irreversible polymerization. Can you please answer me this question? Exokinase produces ATP. Whether the ATP is utilized or ATP is produced here? Yes? It is utilized. One cycle produces 2 ATP. Is that true? We are not talking with respect to aerobic or anaerobic cycle. It produces directly 2 molecules? No. What about the aldolase produces irreversible polymerization? It produces directly 2 molecules of lactate. So we will evaluate this question. We'll keep it at the end. Okay, we'll come back to this question again. Now, the next question. Within RBC, hypoxia stimulates glycolysis by which of the following regulating pathways? Number 1, hypoxia stimulates PDH by increased 2,3-BPG. Hypoxia inhibits exokinase. Hypoxia stimulates release of all glycolytic enzymes from the band 3 on RBC membrane. Activation of regulatory enzymes by increase in the pH. Yes, can anyone pick up the answer for this question? I didn't get any answers in WhatsApp. Yes? What's the answer for this question? Taking a lot of time. It is C. Hypoxia, it's going to stimulate release of all the glycolytic enzymes from the band 3 on the RBC membrane. Remember this. Decreased glycolytic activity impairs oxygen transport by HB due to reduced energy production, decreased production of 2,3-BPG, reduced synthesis of hemoglobin, or low levels of oxygen. Can anyone pick up this question? Decreased glycolytic activity impairs the oxygen transport by hemoglobin due to, what is the answer for this question? Right, it is due to decreased production of BPG. Right, most of you have answered me. Right, good. Next question. So look at the BPG shunt. Let us have a discussion about this because sometimes it can be asked for 3 marks or 5 mark question. The one of the intermediate of glycolysis, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, is going to be converted to 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate with the help of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, and 1,3-BPG is going to be converted to, it is an again reversible reaction. It's going to be converted to 3-phosphoglycerate. It is a normal glycolysis pathway. But what happens with respect to 2,3-BPG? The glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is going to be converted into 2,3-BPG with the help of an enzyme called bisphosphoglycerate mutase, and 2,3-BPG with the help of phosphatase enzyme, it's going to get converted to 3-phosphoglycerate with the release of inorganic phosphate molecule. This is called BPG shunt, playing an important role especially in the RBC cells, right? Now, the reaction inhibited in thiamine deficiency. So we are talking with respect to vitamin B1, that is thiamine. So what is going to happen if there is a deficiency of vitamin thiamine, which reaction is going to be affected? Number one, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. What's the enzyme playing an important role here? Pyruvate dehydrogenase. Citrate getting converted to alpha ketoglutarate, succinyl-CoA to fumarate, and none of them. So the thing that comes into your mind once you look at the answer, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA, citrate to alpha ketoglutarate, and succinyl-CoA to fumarate. Rest, can anyone answer me this question? Yes, I need an answer. Anyone? Yeah, somebody, yes, right. It is A. Why? Because pyruvate is converted to acetyl-CoA with the help of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Again, it's a multi-enzyme complex requiring 3 enzymes and 5 coenzymes. The 3 enzymes are pyruvate dehydrogenase, dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase, dihydrolipoyl transacetylase, and the coenzymes are, already we have discussed enough about it, thiamine, then thiamine, riboflavin, then you require coenzyme A and lipoic acid, right? So these are the 5 coenzymes that is required in this particular reaction. The thiamine is required as thiamine pyrophosphate, right? So the pyruvate to acetyl-CoA conversion will be affected in a patient with thiamine deficiency. Can you tell me a TCA cycle enzyme is going to be affected in thiamine deficiency? Can anyone answer me? Can text me the answer? Which TCA cycle enzyme is going to be inhibited in case of thiamine deficiency? Or when it's not going to work out in thiamine deficiency? It is your alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex, because it is also a multi-enzyme complex which is dependent again upon TPP, right? Next, going to the next question. Congenital lactic acidosis may occur due to defectin. So once you look at this particular disorder, that's congenital lactic acidosis, so you should be knowing about the enzyme which is going to be converting pyruvate to lactate. That's your lactate dehydrogenase, right? And if there is a congenital lactic acidosis, what can be the defect? Option A is pyruvate decarboxylase, PDH complex, and the trans ketolase and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Can anyone tell me the answer for this question? Where will be the defect? Congenital lactic acidosis means baby is suffering from excessive lactic acid production. Actually, what should happen to the pyruvate? Pyruvate normally in an aerobic condition, the pyruvate has to get converted to acetyl-CoA and it has to move on with the TCA cycle, leaving behind the RBCs wherein now anaerobic glycolysis takes place. But here the patient is having congenital lactic acidosis. Why the pyruvate is getting converted more and more into lactate? It should be because of the deficiency of which enzyme? Can anyone text me the answer? I'm getting answer B, right? Why? So pyruvate dehydrogenase, what is the function of pyruvate dehydrogenase? It has to normally convert pyruvate into acetyl-CoA. There is an enzyme deficiency, that is PDH is deficient in this individual. So what happens to the pyruvate? All the pyruvate will be channeled into lactic acid production, and this resulting in congenital lactic acidosis, right? Now the next question. Pyruvate can be converted directly into all of the following except option A PEP, option B alanine, acetyl-CoA, and lactate. Yes, can you pick up the answer? Pyruvate to alanine, it is a transamination reaction. Pyruvate to acetyl-CoA via PDH reaction. Pyruvate to lactate via LDH reaction, but pyruvate is not converted to PEP. Phosphoenol pyruvate is converted to pyruvate with the help of pyruvate kinase via the glycolysis, but it is a PEP which is not going to be produced from the pyruvate, right? So that would be the answer. Now coming to the next question. The enzyme that's responsible for complete oxidation of glucose to carbon dioxide and water is present in. Yes, that means they are targeting the TCA cycle. Yes, what is the answer? Mitochondria. Why citric acid cycle is called as ampibolic pathway? Both exergonic and endergonic reaction take place. Metabolites are utilized in other pathways, can be produced in forward and backward reaction. Same enzyme can be used in reverse direction. So what's the answer here? Yes, it is option A, because it is called ampibolic because it is both catabolic as well as anabolic reactions do happen in TCA cycle, right? So please read about anaplerotic role of TCA cycle and why it is called as ampibolic pathway. What are the reactions that you can give an example for that? Now, fluoroacetate, it inhibits which enzyme? Option A, citrate synthase, aconitase, SDH and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Yes, can anyone answer me this question? Yes, no one is texting me still now. Yes, such an easy question, why you have forgotten? It is aconitase, right? Someone has answered me. Okay, it is B, right? Now, the total number of dehydrogenases present in TCA cycle. Now start counting your dehydrogenases that are present in the TCA cycle. Yes, option A, 3, 2, 4, 5. Tell me how many dehydrogenases are present. Right? Can anyone tell me? Start counting dehydrogenases in TCA cycle. Can anyone answer me this question? Option C. What is this? Anubhav. You have texted me C citric acid. No. What is the C citric acid? It is option is 4. Tell me. Succinate dehydrogenase, number 1. Number 2. Alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. And malate dehydrogenase. And number 4. Isocitrate dehydrogenase. SAMI. You can remember the mnemonic SAMI. Do not count PDH here. They are not asking about the linker reaction. They are asking only about the TCA cycle. It is 4 dehydrogenase. You can remember is SAMI. SAMI. S for succinate dehydrogenase, A for alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, M for malate dehydrogenase, and I for isocitrate dehydrogenase. Right? Next question. The biosynthesis of enzyme pyruvate carboxylase is repressed by insulin, glucagon, cortisol, epinephrine. Can you pick up the right answer here? First of all, think about pyruvate carboxylase. In which pathway does it come? It falls in gluconeogenesis pathway. It is one of the key enzyme of gluconeogenesis. What is the job of this particular enzyme? Pyruvate is converted to oxaloacetate with the help of an enzyme called pyruvate carboxylase. Now the question is, biosynthesis of this particular enzyme is repressed. They are asking about the long-term regulation, the genes induction and gene repression. It is repressed by which hormone here? Glucagon, cortisol, epinephrine, all the 3 are gluconeogenic enzymes, whereas insulin is anti-gluconeogenic enzyme. Now you can answer me this question. No audio. Am I audible now? स्टूडेंट्स को ऑडिबल नहीं हूँ मैं. हाँ नहीं, अभी मैसेज आ रहा है. आइए जल्दी आइए. So the option here is insulin. Okay. Next question. The positive allosteric effector of pyruvate carboxylase is option A succinate, AMP, and C isocitrate, and D acetyl CoA. So here they are asking something related to the pyruvate carboxylase. allosteric effector or activator. Indirectly we can say it as an activator of this particular enzyme. So look at the option. Succinate has nothing to do with the PC. AMP, the energy status of the cell is mainly determined by the concentration of AMP and the ATP. And the other option is isocitrate. There is nothing to do with isocitrate. What about acetyl-CoA here? Yes, whenever, remember one thing in the metabolic pathways, that whenever there is a increase in the concentration of acetyl-CoA, it itself is going to activate or going to act as an activator of this particular enzyme called pyruvate carboxylase, which is a key enzyme of gluconeogenesis. The higher the concentration of acetyl-CoA, it's going to stimulate the pyruvate carboxylase to bring about the gluconeogenesis. So the acetyl-CoA acts as an activator. Next, coming to the next question, which of the following statements concerning gluconeogenesis is correct? Option A, occurs in muscle. Option B, stimulated by fructose T2,6-bisphosphate. Option C, is inhibited by elevated levels of acetyl-CoA. Option D, it's important in maintaining blood glucose during normal overnight fasting. So can you please answer me this question? What is the option? Can anyone text me the answer? Someone is saying D, someone is saying C. Right. Now let's discuss about the fasting status in the normal cell. It's important, the option here it is D, because it is important in maintaining blood glucose during the normal overnight fasting. Yes, it's the first initial periods of your fasting is taken care by the glycogenolysis. The second phase of your fasting is taken care by the gluconeogenesis. It is a very straightforward question. Next, Mallet shuttle is seen to occur in glycogenolysis, glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, HMP shunt. So can you please pick up the answer for this question? Yes. What is this related to, Mallet shuttle? Just try to recollect the gluconeogenesis pathway. It is going to operate in both. It is a compartmentalization. It's an example for compartmentalization, happening in both mitochondria as well as in the cytosol. Some of them are going to take place in the mitochondria. Some of them are going to take place in the cytosol. Right. So the option here is Mallet shuttle has something to do with the gluconeogenesis. It helps in the transportation of your oxalostate. Batao, hello. हाँ, नहीं, केजेड ही देना है उसको. नहीं, केटाकानोजोल उसी को देना. हाँ, उसी को देना है. ठीक है, केजेड ही देना है. नहीं है तो उसको मंगा के देना. ठीक है. हाँ, नहीं, यही चाहिए. ठीक है, दूसरा सब्स्टिट्यूट नहीं चलेगा. ठीक है. Which of the following transports lactose from muscle to liver? The next question. Can anyone please pick up the answer? Which of the following transports lactose? It's lactate from muscle to the liver. That's a lactic acid. Try to recollect about the glucose-alanine cycle. What was the purpose of that particular cycle? It was alanine, right? So glucose-alanine cycle. So try to read more and more. Then only you will be able to answer the questions. Next question. We'll come back to this table later on. So let's move with the next question. Cofactor for glycogen phosphorylase is. So first of all, what is this enzyme? It's a key enzyme of glycogenolysis. Breakdown of glycogen into the glucose, that is free glucose in the liver and glucose 6-phosphate in the muscle, because muscle lacks glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme, right? So that's the definition for glycogenolysis. The key enzyme of your glycogenolysis is your glycogen phosphorylase. So the cofactor, they're asking about cofactor, TPP, PLP, citrate and FAD. So when I was teaching you about water soluble vitamins, we have discussed about pyridoxine. Coenzyme of pyridoxine is PLP. Plays an important role in glycogen. It is a important vitamin which is required for this glycogen phosphorylase. It is acting as a cofactor for glycogen phosphorylase. Do remember this particular answer. It's very, very important question. So PLP is a cofactor required for the glycogen phosphorylase. Next question. Which of the metabolite is involved in glycogenesis, and glycolysis? So I already said you the fate of glucose 6-phosphate. It can jump into glycogenolysis, or it can jump into glycogen synthesis, or it can jump into the glycolysis pathway or HMP pathway. So it is none other than glucose 6-phosphate. Now, GSD, which presents as LSD, that is lysosomal storage disorder. Which of the following glycogen storage disorder is also called as lysosomal storage disorder? Option A, von Gertz disease, Pompe's, McCurdy's, Anderson's. Yes, can anyone text me the answer? Glycogen storage disorders. Right, it is Pompe's. Very good. So let's go back to the table now. So the type 1 glycogen storage disorder is called as von Gertz disease. G is prominent, so it is due to deficiency of glucose 6-phosphatase. Type 1b, don't bother about the subtypes of it. Now directly we'll talk about the type B, that is type 2. It is Pompe's disease. It is due to deficiency of an enzyme called lysosomal 1,4-acid or glucosidase or acid lipase, and it is also called as lysosomal storage disorder. And coming to the type 3, it is called Forbes disease. It is due to deficiency of an enzyme called debranching. And type 4, it is Anderson's disease due to branching enzyme deficiency. And type, one second. Then coming to type 5, it is McCurdle's due to muscle phosphorylase, and type 6, that is Hirsch disease due to liver phosphate. So better way to remember is that number 1, type 1 is due to von Gertz disease. It is due to deficiency of an enzyme called glucose 6-phosphatase. Number 2, Pompe's disease due to lysosomal acid maltase, or it can be called as 1,6-glucosidase. And type 3, that is your Cory's disease. ABCD you remember, C for Cory's and D for debranching enzyme. And the fourth one is Anderson's disease, AB, that is Anderson's disease due to branching enzyme deficiency. And type 5 is your McCurdle's, M for McCurdle and M for muscle phosphorylase. And type 6 is Hirsch disease, H for Hirsch disease and H for hepatic phosphorylase. So this is an easy way to remember about this GSTs. And coming to the next question, that is increased uric acid is seen in which GST? So we have already discussed enough about von Gertz disease, why it causes hyperuricemia. It's nothing but type 1 glycogen storage disorder. Right. Now, phosphorylase B is maintained in an inactivated state by which of the following? Yes, it is ATP, cyclic AMP, and calcium and insulin. So it is a PG level question. Of course, for undergraduate we don't ask this kind of questions, but yes, the phosphorylase is maintained in an because all the syntheses are activated by the insulin enzyme, and all phosphatases are going to be inactivated by your insulin. So try to remember in this way. So it is insulin is the answer. Metabolites of HMP pathway are all except glycerol 3-phosphate, seduheptulase, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and xylulose 5-phosphate. Yeah, you can answer this question. It is not glycerol 3-phosphate. Rest of them are the intermediates of HMP pathway, right? Now, step in HMP pathway which is going to require TPP. Yeah, you can answer me this question again. It's an easy question. Try to remember the HMP pathway and try to recollect the answers. Various enzymes, right? It is transketolase. Okay, it requires TPP as a coenzyme. Now, essential pentosuria, it is due to deficiency of. So please do read about essential pentosuria. It is xylulose reductase enzyme. Okay. Next, fructokinase is necessary for fructose 1-phosphate, 1,6-bisphosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, and glyceraldehyde. So fructokinase. So what is the option answer here? It is necessary for, yes, fructose 1-phosphate. Please do read about fructose metabolism. What is the function of fructokinase, and what is the difference between the fructokinase and exokinase with respect to the fructose metabolism, right? So please do go back and read about this particular question again. Next question will deal with the Fructose intolerance, it is due to deficiency of an enzyme. Definitely it is aldolase B, right. Galactosemia, it is due to option 1 galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase deficiency, galactose 1-phosphatase, glucose 1-phosphate and glucose 6-phosphatase. It is due to galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase enzyme deficiency. Do read about galactose metabolism, then you will be able to answer this question. The molecule which is the initiator of cataract formation in eye lens and whose 1-phosphate derivative is responsible for the liver failure. Very interesting question. Can you please answer me this question? It's an initiator of cataract formation and in the lens and whose 1-phosphate derivative is responsible for the liver failure. Yes. Try to remember the diabetic cataract. What is the biochemical reaction that's responsible for the cataract formation, especially and also in a baby with galactosemia. Whenever a newborn baby is born and the baby has got congenital cataract, something has to be kept in mind as a differential diagnosis could be congenital galactosemia also. So it is galactitol which is responsible for the liver failure as well as cataract formation in the eye lens. Of course, if the age was mentioned here, it would have been more easier to answer this question. So that's all about the important MCQs that are related to the carbohydrate metabolism. So you have any doubts, you can please text me in the WhatsApp. So we will go back to one question we had left. So it produces, the right answer here will be, it produces directly 2 molecules of lactate in the anaerobic situation. Okay. It's about actually anaerobic glycolysis, that is the question is targeted for. Okay. Because one cycle will not produce 2 ATPs, hexokinase does not produce ATP, and aldolase produces irreversible polymerization. But the question is understood that it can directly produce even 2 molecules of lactate. Okay. So that's about that is the only right answer pertaining to this particular question. So now in the next class we are going to discuss about the important MCQs that are related to the lipid metabolism. So we are going to end the class now. If you have any doubts, you can text me. Okay, thank you. And I have gone through your answer sheets, and I started doing valuation of your answer sheets. Most of them have left many questions. I don't know what was the reason. And I think most of you have copied the differences between marasmus and kwashiorkor. It's directly you have taken all the answers from the textbook, I feel, because it's so perfectly written, the differences. I don't think so anyone can write so perfectly. It is copied directly from your textbook, but rest of the answers I don't think so you people have tried copying it. But I have evaluated only about 25 papers till now. This is the findings I got, and most of you have not answered replication. That's the easiest question. I don't know why you did not answer replication. And phospholipids and all, you have written beautiful answers. Vitamin D you have written very well, and you have written about polymerase chain reaction, all that excellently you have written. But immunoglobulins, you have, of course, you have written very beautiful answers. And but I was not satisfied because I think very few out of 25 answer booklets what I have checked, only 2 of you have written replication. It was really very, something to say that it is really disappointing. Replication, such questions, you will always get very good marks. If you draw the diagram, you should have just written initiation, elongation and termination with the diagrammatic representation. Such a easy question, and I don't know why you did not answer. Please do read about replication, translation, transcription. Do practice the diagrams properly. And it is a high energy yielding, questions, and because it can give you a lot of marks with beautiful diagrams. If you have written beautiful diagrams with 3 or 4 points for initiation, elongation and termination, you will get full marks in this. There are chances to get less marks in questions like immunoglobulins, all that, because it requires elaborative explanation as well. Individual functions you have to write. But in a questions like replication, one should not lose the marks. It's easy to write. So we will wind up the class now. Thank you.